Ethan, that's not who we are.
Maybe we need to reconsider that.
You can't fight the friction!
Ethan, take Julia to be your lawful wedded wife.
If someone's trying to pull an Inception on Ethan Hunt, then they picked the absolute wrong guy to play the minister.
I'm glad you didn't criticize the logos this time, but I still have to send you for an arbitrary movie reference.
Erase her identity. Force her into hiding.
Wow, and it was all a dream cliche to open the film.
You should have killed me, Ethan.
Since when do movie characters nightmare dream the movie's actual plot? I mean, that evil dude does come back and is behind a nuke plot. So can Ethan's subconscious see the future or what?
Or it's probably the fact that Lane was a challenge for Ethan and he still misses Julia. And since when do dreams have the actual plot in them? Apparently, Jeremy has never seen The Wizard of Oz.
Fate whispers to the warrior, a storm is coming.
Holy a storm is coming even in the middle of a series of past phrases is still a goddamn storm is coming cliche.
Man, movies can't win with you, can they? This line is said in the middle of a passphrase, meaning it's not something the characters are saying as something ominous, and it's still sinful?
Jesus, I hope they didn't use a rare edition just so they could get a message to Ethan. Couldn't they have used The Art of the Deal instead?
Pointing things out on the screen.
Now, all because of Gary, all IMF agents need to verify their identities by pricking their finger into a DNA reader. F***ing Gary.
Listen, I don't like having my finger pricked either, but if it could potentially save the world, you should put your own feelings aside. That is why you're not a secret agent.
This entire message is for Ethan Hunt alone, and yet the IMF had to have employed at least a dozen people to even make this detailed digital presentation with maps and HD video. And my point is, at what point does it become cheaper, easier, and less dangerous to just brief this motherfucker in person and skip all the theatrics that are almost certainly only for the benefit of the viewing audience anyway?
Wouldn't it take more effort to figure out a meeting place and get on a plane to talk to him when you could just deliver it through mail? Do you not want to save the world as quickly as possible?
Known only by the codename John Lark.
AKA John MacGuffin.
Oh no, this movie has a MacGuffin. You know, literally all the Mission Impossible movies have one, right? Why is this a problem now, in the 6th movie?
This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
But what if I want to rewind it? What if I miss something? That was a lot of information packed into 2 minutes. What is smallpox?
I feel tired of saying this in every video, but this is Ethan freaking Hunt. This man has proven multiple times in this franchise that he pays attention to everything he can. He's been able to predict if an ally is actually working against him. Stuff like that. He doesn't need to hear this again. He has it all already.
Vaping.
Dude, none of these are actually something wrong with the movie. What are you even doing here? This video did not need to be 15 minutes long.
He's late.
For Christ's sake, can't these assholes be on time for once? You know, because being late rarely ever matters one whit in movie world.
Other than making them anxious and giving us this comedic scene where Benji is worried.
It's entirely possible to be relaxed and extremely uneasy at the same time.
For some reason, CinemaSins just adds us in here with no explanation. I have no idea what was wrong with this line, and my only guess is that this was meant to pad the runtime and sin count.
Ethan was told that a person by the code name of John Lark had hired the Apostles, who were in contact with elements of the Eastern European underworld that stole the plutonium. So how did they get this meeting set up with so little information? I know Ethan is a living, breathing Rolodex with the names of bad guys and their associates in his head and could get some promising leads to set up such a meet.
No. Stop right there. You literally answered your own question. Let's move on.
No lie, 2 weeks after filming this movie, the plutonium testing app was removed from the iTunes store under mysterious circumstances.
What even is the joke here? And it looks more like an android to me.
Don't you do it, Ethan! Not for me!
Whenever a movie character tells another one not to do a thing, usually as a noble attempt at sacrifice, 99% of the time the main character still does that thing they were warned not to do by the would-be sacrificer. And it's kind of annoying.
Well, that's kind of the main theme in this movie. Ethan is not willing to sacrifice anyone for the greater good, while the bad guy, Walker, is perfectly fine with that. At least in this case, this kind of setup serves the story.
Well, if he reads Lark's manifesto, I'll give you the passcode.
We're going to find out in a minute that Benji is posing as Wolf Blitzer to read literal fake news, so that this Nils guy will give them the passcode to a cell phone. And I'm just wondering, how the can these guys not get into a cell phone? Given the technology we've routinely seen the IMF use, how hard is that to hack?
I mean, a passcode is there for a reason. But this is also pretty ironic coming from you, the guy who's been questioning IMF technology a bunch of times. I don't get it. Sometimes you accept that it can do anything, and sometimes you think it's ridiculous. What's with that?
Why do all the Mission Impossible movies insist on spoiling themselves during the opening credits? I can objectively say this is the worst thing about the Mission Impossible movies. Well, besides the entire second movie.
Why do you think simply showing a bunch of random action scenes out of context is spoiling the movie? There are a ton of twists in this particular one, and the credits don't spoil any of it. And no, the worst thing about these movies is the amount of characters that appear in one movie and then disappear in the next. Remember Theodore Brassel?
This woman, Alana Mitsopoulos.
Alana Mistopoulos? That sounds like a Bond name that forgot to include any sexual innuendo. Also, that's Lady Gaga. Boom, done. Solved it for you. Let's go get a taco.
One sin for comparing these movies to James Bond again, and for a really lame joke. Like, I know these videos are meant to be comedic, but they're not that funny.
No one comes between you and that plutonium. Not Hunt, not his team, not anyone.
I love Angela Bassett, but this seems to be her role in almost every movie. Come in, say something terse, then leave the picture until she's needed again. Question, why can't she go on this mission? I like Henry Cavill and all, but I want to see Angela Bassett kick some ass.
So I haven't seen many movies with Angela Bassett, but is she an action star? I mean, people liked her in Wakanda Forever because of her good acting, not because she did anything cool.
I assume his identity. Make contact with the widow. She takes us to the package.
The plan in these movies is always the same. And just like every other time, his stated plan here will go awry, and they'll have to improvise. Somebody should make software that acts as a Mission Impossible screenplay starter kit.
Ironic, coming from the guy who repeats things all the time.
I know you don't want me on this detail.
This is the mustache that single-handedly ruined Justice League.
I like the joke, but the mustache was the least of Justice League's problems. The fact that it made the whole story feel so meaningless and empty is something I will never forgive Joss Whedon and Warner Brothers for.
God damn it, Christopher McQuarrie. This is the f***ing right here. I'm removing 3 sins for this camera and stunt work. All of you are madmen. All of you.
Have to agree with you here. This scene is amazing.
The f***ing August wasn't just passed out on the Halo jump. Lightning struck super close and maybe hit him, forced them apart, and he remained unconscious through the entire drop. But now he's light as a feather and right as f***ing rain. I know he's a super agent and but he ain't an alien from Krypton.
This literally implies that he wasn't unconscious the entire drop, and his parachute went out earlier than Ethan. Why is it unbelievable that he woke up?
Raves this big. Also raves.
Pointing things out on the screen.
Ethan is a man aware of every single detail going on in a room at any given time. The fact that he missed this blocking asshole is some bull.
Oh, so you know that Ethan pays attention? And yet asked if he needed to hear that self-destruct message again in case he misses something? There are so many flip-flops in this video. It's insane.
He had a date with the widow. You look nothing like him. Now, we have to hope they never met.
How many Mission Impossible movies rely on the bad guy not ever meeting the person they're doing business with? Like all of them? At least half, right?
The only other Mission Impossible movie that has done this is Ghost Protocol. So this is only the second time this specific scenario has happened. Also, CinemaSins didn't remove a sin for Henry Cavill's arm reloading. There's a reason that was my outro in my last Mission Impossible video.
Hope is not a strategy,
said my college girlfriend after I inhaled the oysters and absinthe.
Missed opportunity for a Superman joke here. You know, because his symbol literally means hope. That actually would have been funny.
How does McQuarrie make a human Henry Cavill character look tougher and more badass than a Superman Cavill character ever has? I'm gonna add another sin for Justice League, because sometimes good movies need to make sacrifices for the bad ones.
Nah, this is another case of you padding the sin count here, because you realize this movie is really good. It doesn't have too many things actually bad about it.
We paid a great deal of money for this information.
Looks like the White Widow had to change into prison break planning couture for this meeting.
Do you see what time it is outside? That's her nightgown.
What happens after the diversion?
You want your plutonium? This is the price.
This is an extremely odd trade-off. It's not like John Lark being impersonated by Ethan here needed to do anything. He didn't set up this prison break. He's just along for the ride. The people they have are more than enough to pull this off. Kind of surprised Ethan doesn't ask, why do you even need me? Or at least ask himself what he's really offering in this deal, which is practically nothing. It's Mission Impossible ride-along.
But if he doesn't help, he doesn't get the plutonium. And Mitsopoulos has heard of John Lark's reputation of killing people, so she thinks he can still help.
How many times has Hunt's government betrayed him, disavowed him, cast him aside?
Pretty much once per movie. So, 6? 5, I guess, until it happens later in this movie, which will make it 6.
That didn't happen in the second movie, so no, it's 5.
He's handing her the phone. He says they pulled off the dead body in the bathroom, suggesting it will have proof that Ethan Hunt is the real John Lark. But you guys are saying Lark is a master spy, the puppet master of other master spies. He's always been way ahead of you. You don't even know what his face looks like, but you think he hired this other dude to be a Lark decoy, and that other guy used his fucking cell phone for that conversation? This is a world where important messages self-destruct, goddammit!
Except Sloane doesn't know Ethan like we do. Maybe he is someone who'd do this kind of thing. And Walker is clearly someone she trusts, so why would she be suspicious?
Man, skinny Liam Neeson doesn't look so tough in that straitjacket and leg irons, and being so skinny.
Right.
If you look up the word omniscient in the dictionary, it's a picture of Ilsa.
Remember when you answered your own question for how Ethan was able to set up that meeting? Yeah, apply that same logic to Ilsa. She works for MI6. She has her own way of figuring out these things.
Look, I'm not saying you stop, but if you're transporting the most notorious criminal in the world in a convoy and a double trailer truck crashes in your main route's path, right as you show up there, that is an attack. You are under attack. Do not simply change routes and carry on. This sin goes for the Dark Knight as well.
Why would these cops assume that this is an attack? Car accidents happen all the time in real life, so they would just guess it's another one. And what exactly are you asking them to do? You didn't suggest an alternative, so this sin doesn't carry any weight.
Luckily for Ethan's intervention plan, the doors of this van open up after a couple collisions and dump every single bad guy onto the street for the cops to come by and arrest them.
Flip-flopping again over how smart you think Ethan is. These cops were literally driving after him because he pushed a prison car with Lane inside the river, and these goons weren't expecting to be moved around like this, so yeah, they'd fall out like this.
Whoa, Tom Cruise on a motorcycle cliche and vehicle won't start cliche in one? Considering the narrow tunnel he's stuck in, I'm gonna call this clicheception.
Still don't like you sending Tom Cruise on a motorcycle. However, the bigger sin here is misusing the word inception again. Like, don't you think that word means a thing within a thing? How is this that in any way?
This movie is just giving all the fingers to the Bourne movies, and I'm okay with it.
Sending something you like.
Yes, Ethan is driving against the grain of infamous Arc de Triomphe traffic, but the sin is this f***ing roundabout. This is like the city planners said, God will show the drivers the way, and they built it based on that.
But didn't you just admit this is real? So why is Fallout receiving a sin here? And besides, without this, we wouldn't have one of the best John Wick fight scenes ever.
Okay, he called for special extraction, but no way he or they could have known he'd end up here, and yet everyone did. He got knocked off his motorcycle in a crash that should have killed him, but movie makes it seem like that was on purpose so he could disappear right here in this spot.
You almost had a point, but you lost me when you said this crash should have killed him. You know Tom Cruise does all his own stunts, right? This crash was real, and Tom is perfectly fine. This is not as deadly as you think it is.
Mission Impossible, The French Connection.
Arbitrary movie reference.
Man, it's kind of amazing Paris isn't on lockdown after the daring attempt to break Solomon Lane from his prison transport. Paris needs to hire a Tommy Lee Jones. It's almost like they forgot about the escape.
Wouldn't that have taken a little long to do? And they don't know where Ethan or Lane are, so they're safe right now.
The only thing impossible in these movies is shooting the tires, I guess. I mean, she's aiming for Solomon Lane, but her perfect kill shot didn't go through the glass earlier, so why take the chance here? Make sure they can't drive first, then kill him.
What? Shooting the tires is extremely difficult, and she's standing right in front of the car where they're out of her range, and she wants to kill Lane specifically, so why would she even try to shoot them?
The Syndicate was a pack of murdering cowards.
Syndicate was civilization's last hope.
So, the League of Shadows?
What's with all the DC references in this video?
It's complicated.
Roll credits. Wait, wrong Alec Baldwin movie.
Dude, there was literally a roll credits moment in the previous scene, and you somehow missed it.
The fallout of all your good intentions.
You needed him to break Lane out because you have to kill Lane.
So the CIA wanted Lark to break Lane out because they wanted Lark to lead them to the Apostles and Plutonium. Ilsa wanted Lark to break Lane out because she wanted to kill Lane. Considering the sheer amount of omniscience Ilsa displays in this movie, knowing about the prison break is not an issue. What is an issue is considering the sheer amount of omniscience, she and MI6 couldn't come up with a better plan to kill Lane.
I mean, what else could she have done? Lane was under police custody, and Ethan was working on breaking him out. She would have to find where he was, and the only real opportunity she'd have is when he's out in the open or in the car.
Who's making you do this? MI6.
Yes, of course MI6 is making her do this. That's the name of the movie, right?
I was really hoping you wouldn't make that joke because of how obvious it was.
When the Apostles realize that you're playing games, you'll lose the plutonium again.
That's literally a Bible verse. I think it's John Lark 3:16.
I hate how half this video is just me rolling rolling my eyes at these stupid jokes.
August has been looking at this monitor the whole time, so how the f does he end up getting fooled? There's no double mask thing going on where Solomon's been Benji and Benji's been Solomon the whole time, and then they put on another mask of their real face, so they did literal magic here to fool August in this scene, and the movie never quite explains how it happens.
There is literally no evidence to suggest that Walker was looking at this monitor the whole time. You just made that up. We only see him looking at it after Benji and Lane swapped places.
I thought we had a deal.
We did, and now we don't.
This movie has entirely too many double crosses, twists, and turns. John Lark, a fake name, August Walker, who works for the CIA and is John Lark, Solomon Lane, the Apostles, the CIA, the IMF, the White Widow, who is a broker between the bad guys, but who is also working for the CIA, and who has a criminal brother with a Marvel villain's name, Ilsa Faust and her motives. Two different organizations wanted Lane out of prison for different reasons, the Eastern Europeans who stole the plutonium in the first place. It is a lot to take in.
Half of those things don't sound like twists.
On top of the double-cross confusion, now we have an action scene that is shot in the dark, only lit by flashlights, and while it's not hyper-edited or shot with an unhealthy dose of shaky cam, it can be hard to tell where everyone is, who's shooting, and why we care.
Nah, I'm pretty sure that's just a you problem.
Sorry, Alec. Desk boss IMF guy doesn't last 2 seconds against CIA covert assassin guy.
I agree, because Walker literally pulls a knife out extremely fast and kills him, and you literally cut off the scene before that happened.
More insane camera and stunt work. You know what? Give this movie another 5 sins off.
I also agree that this deserves sins off, but I'm also confused, because I'd say Mission Impossible 3 did the same thing, and you didn't remove any sins there, so what's the difference? But you know what? I'll be nice and not add or remove a sin.
And she would wonder who's watching the world while Ethan is watching me. Deep down, they both knew that something truly terrible was going to happen, all because they were together.
The f***ing hubris on those two, though. Ethan's a fantastic spy, but he's not Batman. He's not stopping all the bad things in the world while spying. Only some of them, because he's one man. Christ, so many better ways to explain their parting of ways.
How did you come to that conclusion? Luther is simply saying that if there's a problem that happens and it doesn't get solved, Ethan could feel guilty about it. This is the issue with trying to be a spy and a husband. You have to commit to one or the other. This is something that Julia helps Ethan accept at the end when she tells him she can sleep peacefully knowing he's out there saving the world.
What's his last position?
About 30 miles northeast.
And that's where he wants us to go.
Solomon Lane has a raging murder boner with the manifesto tagline, the greater the suffering, the greater the peace. Yet his revenge boner is much more important, allowing Ethan to know where the attack is going to take place. Even if it is 99% unlikely Ethan and his team can find the bombs and defuse them, isn't the fact that he failed to stop them and that his ex-wife is going to die enough?
Same idea from the first Mission Impossible video where you questioned Krieger wanting revenge on Ethan by trying to kill him with the helicopter blades. Revenge is purely emotional and not something you can think clearly on, and Lane blathers on over and over about how he thinks this victory is inevitable, so he's underestimating Ethan again. And you also said boner twice.
Wait, just so I've got this clear. Our only chance to safely defuse both bombs is to let the countdown start.
Ilsa would be pretty f***ing awesome at CinemaSins.
So you're saying Ilsa has a point that this mission sounds ridiculous? Yeah, that does sound like CinemaSins.
Ah, sudden West Bentley.
Pointing actors out on the screen.
Rebecca Ferguson chasing someone down at a cabin? This reminds me way too much of The Snowman.
Arbitrary movie reference.
Oh god, he tied her up? All because he wants her to witness this or something? I really want to like Solomon Lane, but his need for people to know he got his revenge is making it very difficult. And like this is a situation a trained government agent can't get out of. Jesus.
That's part of his characterization, that he's overconfident the bombs will kill her anyway.
The original script for this sin video had 15 he survives this sins in a row here during the film's climax.
Would have been nice if he at least showed those scenes.
Why won't you just die?
This bad guy cliche is so disappointing in a great action movie, I'm considering adding multiple sins. But I can't be mad at you, Mission Impossible 6. I just can't. Still, 1 sin.
What's cliche about this? Walker simply asking why he doesn't die? Is that a cliche?
I asked a mathematician friend to calculate the odds that Hunt...
No. Sinning this scene? Come on, this deserved another sin off.
He's got 16 seconds, folks. 16 seconds to free solo the rest of this mountain and pull the firing key. I know that the movie wants to make it suspenseful, but I'd rather see him actually do it than cut away and pretend like he's not gonna do it.
You just said it. It's for suspense. It's much more exciting to think that he might not be able to do it, making it even more relieving when he actually does stop the bomb. That's how action scenes in movies are supposed to be done. Why don't you understand this channel that has the word cinema in the name?
I know he's exhausted and almost died, like a dozen times in the last 10 minutes, but don't lie so close to the edge, you idiot!
And yelling at the screen to round it all out. please don't review movies ever again.